Welcome to the project. Tonight, tens of thousands of dollars in damage. How one Aussie woman's vacant home was trashed by squatters. We chat to the Polly who posted her address.
And the young Aussie lawyer who got sacked for calling in sick to go to the footy says the real reason he had to call in sick was missed. He'll explain himself.
Plus there, the two guys from Leeds.
Listen to the song, well, just have a little listen, mate.
How dare I try to interrupt that? The two guys from Leeds that set the world on fire with that song. Soft Cell frontman Marc Almond joins us at the desk.
All right, now for a bit of professionalism, I'll have a go. More and more Aussies are getting help from the Bank of Mum and Dad to buy a home. It's a big story. Now, personally, I'm with the Bank of Liz and Waleed. It is zero interest when you go through their wallets.
We are live from the lands of the Cooler Nation. Let's see if they can go viral tonight. Liz Ellis and Pete Hellier.
It's a little challenge.
Yeah. Surely. There's a lot of virality on the show. Yeah. And all I'm saying is rise to the occasion. That's all I'm asking.
It's not all about going viral. I like to give good, acute, political analysis. That's why I'm here, Waleed.
I know.
I mean, I could twerk if you want. That can go viral.
Can we do both?
You can do both.
All right, good. Yeah. Now or later in the show?
At
later
the same
on.
time?
Okay. Oh, you want to join? I'm not getting involved in that. All right. Let's get to today's top stories. A massive win tonight for hundreds of thousands of early childhood workers. A landmark ruling from the Fair Work Commission has awarded them pay rises of up to 30%. However, the Commission has warned that childcare fees could rise as a result unless the Commonwealth commits to additional wage funding for the sector. Other female-dominated sectors like healthcare will also receive the wage boost.
It's a decision by the Fair Work Commission that recognises women's jobs have been undervalued for a long time.
Sydney bakery has gone viral. There's the first virality, Pete. All thanks to a Chinese travel vlogger. He fell in love with the bakery's bird cake. So this is made with meringue and chocolate mousse and decorated with a bird stencil from Bunnings.
Oh, beautiful.
But he wrote about it so much on Chinese social media that the bakery is now overwhelmed. It's gone from selling around 100 cakes a week to around 150 a day.
Oh.
We're running on adrenaline, there's no doubt about that. It's hard, it's difficult, we all give each other a hug at the end of the day. We don't deserve the punishment that we have to go through. Other than that, we deserve all the accolade, without a doubt.
It's less baker's delight and more baker's displeasure.
Too much baking. I thought that you'd be over the moon. I get that it's hard work, but that's what you get into baking for, isn't it?
For the hard work.
For the hard work, you know, to meet the demand of the Chinese market.
So now you're talking the right language.
Thank you, Waleed.
Demand, market.
Yes, that's
the
what
answer
I'm here
to this
for.
is not to sell 150 cakes a day and die in the process.
Yeah, exactly.
Sell 10 for $50,000 each.
Yes. This is a bloke that did first-year economics at uni.
Yes.
Bang on.
Yeah.
That's exactly how you do it.
Well, the other thing he's doing, though, is offering other services. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, no.
What's he doing, Liz?
A bloke turned up from Shenzhen with his suitcase. He said, I need to get this for my girlfriend, and maybe if I get this cake, she'll marry me. So old mate, who owned the store, sold him a cake and then drove him to the airport.
Really?
That sounds like the most romantic episode of Border Security I've ever seen. Like that. I cannot wait to see that episode.
It's touching.
It's very beautiful,
It's touching.
yeah.
Who said that romance is dead? Well, the Bank of Mum and Dad is back in the spotlight after a begrudging admission from Peter Dutton, the opposition leader joining a growing contingent of Aussies feeling the need to give their kids a helping hand, despite all the shiny new housing policies.
It's almost impossible to get in. I mean, we're saving like mad.
It's a struggle experienced by millions of Aussies. The dream of home ownership still only a dream, even for the opposition leader's son, Harry.
Why won't you support him a bit and give him a bit of help with getting his house?
I haven't finished the excellent points I was making.
Dutton's deflections eventually giving way to the truth that Harry will actually be getting a leg up courtesy of the Bank of Mum and Dad.
Mr Dutton Senior, you were going to say. But I think our households are no different to many households where we want our kids to work hard, to save, and we'll help them with the deposit at some stage.
The opposition leader is far from the first Polly to accidentally flash his privilege, from hockey's house-buying hacks
Get a good job that pays good money.
to Turnbull's top tips.
What, are your kids locked out of the housing market?
Yes.
Well, you should shell out for them. You should support them, wealthy man like you.
It's a great game plan for those able to afford it.
Yeah, without the Bank of Mum and Dad, we wouldn't have been able to afford to buy a property.
I have been lucky enough to benefit a little bit from the Bank of Dad.
Soft tops. They get too much done for them.
In a recent survey, 42% of first home buyers said they'd received assistance from their parents. That's double what it was in 2022, with gifts ranging from 70 grand to upwards of 200k.
We have a divide between the haves, those that are in the property game already, and the haves not, and it gets wider with every generation.
The number of Aussies needing a helping hand is increasing as the housing crisis worsens.
Property prices are just too high and keep on rising. But you combine this with the cost of living crisis, and it is becoming near impossible for many first home buyers.
But experts warn parental handouts are only making the crisis worse.
They are propping up their kids with extra cash, which means auctions around the country get more heated, people spend more, and problem gets worse and worse.
So what does it say about the state of our housing market that the big four are increasingly being supplemented by the big two?
There's not a lot of hope if the parents are our only option to buy a home.
I think that's putting a lot of pressure on parents.
If we need to get a foot up, it's pretty much the only way, unfortunately, these days.
And the hard thing is it's not just the bank of mum and dad, there's also the bank of grandma and grandpa, and there's that inheritance coming through. But I think if this isn't solved, we do run the risk that in years to come will be a two-class society. There will be the property owners and there will be the people who for generations haven't been able to afford property. And we don't have rental laws that allow that to happen in any meaningful way that give people security.
So if you had a European-style thing where renting was a secure long-term thing where you had rights like hanging up a picture or whatever, then it changes the equation a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I understand that. The thing is about this, it's one thing to say to parents who are in a position to afford this, you're going to make the affordability problem worse. Can you seriously point me in the direction of any parent who is in that situation who will say, for the good of the market, I'm not going to let my kid...
I'll have a crack. I reckon I'll have a crack at that.
Get into it, Pete.
I told my kids when they were very young, sink all your pocket money into your Dolomites account and you should be fine.
Yeah. How's that gone?
They didn't settle that.
Yeah, it's a real problem.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? I'm going to look... I just learned about this as well. I'm going to take it up with my dad. I want to get into his...
What, Tony?
Yeah, once I find out what shops he went to buy cigarettes when I was 8, I'll definitely look into it. But, I'm excited. I didn't know the bank was there. Guys, let's go to Melbourne, one of the great places in this country, and we finally have an answer to a question I've been asking quite a lot. How many firefighters does it take to put out a scooter that's on fire? Here we go, there's a scooter. Here we go.
It's a good soundtrack.
So they just come from Summer Hill. That's an inside reference. There we go. Wow. There's the answer. Yeah. Now, we all think that's really fun, but they should have done the right Melbourne thing, and that's to throw that scooter in the Yarra River. Thank you. Yeah, they missed the beat there. We've got to sort this out.
Yeah. Good by you. All right, off the break. What's in the project?
Well, the fight for Vegemite continues. You may have seen the story we brought you last night of the Aussie banned from selling Vegemite in his cafe in Canada. Now, health authorities yanked it off the shelves because it was found to have added vitamins. The move means Leighton Walters will be $9,000 out of pocket, but he is determined to fight back. Now, our friend Sam over here, he's been absolutely outraged about this. He even wrote an angry letter.
Indeed. I thought your country loved Vegemite, Canada. Look, here's your old Prime Minister enjoying a faithful. Yours in faith.
Oh, you have to sign it?
Yep. And let me tell you, Sam wore a lot of Vegemite last night. The mighty Aussie battler himself, Leighton Walters, joins us now. Leighton, the High Commission responded and told us they're looking into it. Have you heard from them?
Yeah, I actually have. I got a random call from the High Ambassador of Australia in Ottawa yesterday. So it's been pretty overwhelming, the support from Australia. So the fight continues, guys. The letter is working.
Yes.
Well done.
Well, you're welcome, Leighton, and I'm very happy to lend my powerful media position to help you out. Now, the ruling, it's going to see you're going to have to remove $9,000 worth of Vegemite. Now, on a scale of 1 to un-Australian, I don't actually understand how that scale works, but how outrageous is this? Tell me.
Oh, mate, it's off the scale for sure. You know, I've heard stories of people pouring maple syrup down the drains in outrage. I've had phone calls of people losing their minds saying that this is so un-Australian, I'm cancelling my trip to Canada. So it's all been a little bit hilarious. But honestly, this is so un-Australian, it's not even funny. And frankly, as a dual citizen, as a Canadian citizen as well, it's also un-Canadian to be so exclusive and rejecting so much amazing cultural influence from Australia and from a friendly nation.
Well, on that, have you considered renouncing your Canadian citizenship?
Bang.
How serious are you?
Oh, Yeah. You know what? Like, I'll tell you, I'm going to go start feeding Vegemite to beavers all over the place. I'm going to start, I'm going to go everywhere. I'm just going to be like, you know what? If I can't sell my Vegemite, I'm going to give it away. I'm going to force feed you. It's I'm proudly Australian, mate. Like, this is huge. I've always grown up on Vegemite. And this is honestly just seems like massive government overreach. It's crazy overregulation. And, maybe we'll just take a stand once and for all that Vegemite is healthy, it's good for you, it should be in Canada and it should be available. And so, I think that's where this is heading.
Amen, mate. Now, on socials, you mentioned Vegemite. It's still available at major grocery stores and Amazon Canada. So it gets bigger. Do you know what I mean? How is this fair?
Well, it's not fair. That's the problem. Like, I'd understand if the CFIA maybe came after me and said, hey, look, we've made the decision, Vegemite's not within our local health regulations. I would have gone, sweet, no worries, I don't agree with it, but, whatever, this is Canada, you can do whatever you want. Because even though you can go buy a lot of other stuff that's way worse for you than Vegemite. But it doesn't make any sense. So we're just basically saying, you know what? Let's just get this resolved and sorted once and for all.
Sounds like Big Marmite's involved here, to be honest. But we have a picture of you as a young, happy little Vegemite. It seems like fighting for our right to might is in your destiny. It's in your blood.
Mate, I should not have sent you that photo. How embarrassing. I've been a happy little Vegemite my whole life. And to be honest with you, it's kind of discouraging when you're fighting for your life. You're always an uphill battle, and then you've got more government regulation turning around to try and get you to kind of bend the knee to the powers that be. But Vegemite is available on Amazon, which is the same Vegemite that we have in the shop that apparently their compliance has a problem with. And so is Marmite's available everywhere. So it just feels like this weird sort of double standard. And I'm just trying to kind of shine some light on it in hopes that maybe everything can be made right.
Oh, good on you, Leighton. You're fighting the good fight. I know you're getting married in July. You've got a big battle there as well to make sure that your health is good. Come on, go with me, Waleed. Good luck for that, and good luck for this fight as well.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your support, and mate, keep writing those letters.
We will do that.
Absolutely.
Scotland has Braveheart. We have Leighton. All right, it's time to look what's making waves in the Aussie music world this week.
The Kid Leroy has started sharing his new music, starting with How Does It Feel? Leroy's been living it up at weekend one at Coachella Music Festival, along with Tate and the Biebers. G-Flip made a surprise appearance during the Beaches set, while our boy Troy reunited on stage with Charlie XCX.
Coachella, you ready to sweat? Okay, here's the plan. On the fire, you have to answer down.
Eurovision, we are ready!
Our Eurovision representative Gojo's been making his mark across Europe ahead of next month's song competition.
Fun fact about Milkshake Man is I wrote the song with
12 points, Gojo and Shepherd. That's Aria Amplified.
So say.
Welcome back. A Melbourne solicitor fired for chucking a sickie to attend last year's AFL gather round has slammed the stigma around mental health in the workplace. Mitch Fuller claims he was suffering burnout but felt pressured to keep coming into the office. He's spoken out after his unfair dismissal claim was rejected by the Fair Work Commission. It found he'd not only lied to his employer but had given false evidence.
And Mitch Fuller is here now to take us through it all.
Well, before we kind of step in, because I think there's a very important question we need to know before we progress with this interview.
Okay.
Mitch, who do you barrack for?
Regrettably, I can put my footy hat on if you want me to. It's the Bombers. So, yeah, trust me, I frequently... I go through much worse than what I'm currently going through every week.
Mitch, can you understand, though, how taking a sick day and then getting caught at the footy via social media posts doesn't quite seem like an unfair dismissal to a lot of people?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, on the very surface level when you look at it like that. But the truth is, behind the scenes, I was really struggling at the time. I needed the time off one way or the other. I could have taken a lot more time off and just sat at home, or I could have had a bit of a circuit breaker and spent time with my friends, and I chose to do the latter. Behind the scenes, yeah, things were rough. I'm happy to get into that a bit later.
Yeah, but Mitch, you didn't say that you were having a tough time, though. You said, I had a tough time sleeping and I'm not feeling up to coming into the office. Then on the second day, you said, still in a bit of discomfort today. Don't think I can hack taking public transport. Brother, come on. That's deceptive.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, yeah, obviously I wasn't anywhere near as open and transparent as I would have liked to be, but this had come after months and months of me barely even having a relationship with the management at this place. I wasn't being given any work. I was coming to work every day just anxious, absolutely hating life. And then the real kicker is I have ADHD, I'm on medication, and usually I'm fine on that. There was a nationwide shortage last year, and after that ran out, that really added fuel to the fire, really made it unbearable to even be at work. So I thought, look, yeah, in a dream situation, I would knock on my boss's door, say, hey, look, I'm not really feeling good in the head at the moment. I'm really stressed out. I'm bored and my meds have run out and I'm feeling a brunt of all the symptoms. I know I've never mentioned to you that I have ADHD, but guess what? I do. Yeah, I didn't think that conversation was going to go down well. That would be the right thing to do, but I'm sure many people in that position would feel as uncomfortable as I would in that sort of spot if they were dealing with such a hostile and tense workplace like I was.
I get you, Mitch, but did going to gather round and seeing Essendon lose by 69 points to Port Adelaide fix all these things?
No, that made me want to go back to the office.
Mitch, just putting aside the fact that Pete has reminded you of that particular incident with Essendon losing by so much, how are you doing now?
Look, the last 2 weeks have been quite surreal. This is the last thing I was expecting. I was really looking forward last Monday to just getting the decision, whether or not I liked it, to just putting it to bed, moving on with my life, doing something else, not having to think about it so much. But I've been receiving so many messages of people trying to alert me that somebody wrote an article that it's just insane.
Mate, I have no desire to skewer you or attack you or anything like that. I mean, you've been through a process. Your relationship with your employer was obviously quite broken. You're going through a lot of stuff and the law has had its say. So we don't need to go too far into that. But it looks to a lot of people and ultimately, I guess, to the tribunal, that you were trying it on a bit. And that may not be fair, but that's kind of how it looks. And what I worry about is that might undermine people who really do need mental health days or something like that, that there's this sense, and I think this might be why it's a big story, there's this sense that mental health is being used in some way as a fig leaf or as a way to get around the system. That's kind of what worries me about this. Does that worry you?
The thing about mental illness, neurodiversity in my case, is it's invisible and it exists only in your head. There is no way to make it concrete, tangible, perceptible to the outside world. So I couldn't come to the tribunal with one magical bit of evidence that will prove that I was really struggling that week. It was just my word against theirs, and that just wasn't good enough on the day, and I have to respect that.
Mitch, thanks so much for fronting up, mate. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for your interest in the story. Thanks for having me on.
I'll back to you soon.
A grieving Victorian woman has been dealt a brutal blow after finding her late father's home looted and trashed by strangers. The twist claims a pro-squatters politician led the looters right to her door.
I'm not rich. I spent 4 years renovating it and every penny basically to bring it to a stage where I could live in it, and then my circumstances changed.
Late last year, Carol, who doesn't want to be identified, went to check in on the home of her late father, a property she inherited after he passed in 2007, revealing to the ABC,
I tried my key and it didn't open, and then I realised there was a blind in one room that I never put down, and that there was a security camera over the garage, not mine. My heart was in my throat and I was panicking.
Her home had been broken into, the locks changed, Carol's belongings cleared out by strangers.
It was the stuff that belonged to my father that had the greatest impact. It made me feel very unsafe, violated, just really vulnerable.
Carol hadn't lived in the property for more than 10 years because she'd been caring for her ailing mum. She used to visit the vacant home every few weeks, but after her mother passed, she hadn't been for more than 2 months. During that time, Carol's Melbourne address was shared online. The post viewed more than 40,000 times.
16 years of time went by without an incident. I don't believe it's a coincidence.
The person behind the post, Purple Pingers, aka Jordan Vandenlam.
You used to get rich people hoarding empty houses during a housing crisis.
A lawyer turned content creator turned federal election candidate who's been taking on the nation's housing crisis, first by exposing bad rentals, then by helping people find vacant homes to squat in by posting the addresses on a public database.
Fun fact, squatting in Australia is not necessarily illegal.
The law is fairly clear. If you are on the property of another person, you leave yourself open to a trespass charge.
Dubbed by some as the Robin Hood of renters, Purple Pingers has amassed a legion of fans. But are his latest actions less hero, more villain?
I think he's a disgrace. It's quite clearly just reprehensible, self-indulgent behaviour.
He's advocating for the rights of people who have very few rights. So you can understand that from a moral point of view, but they need to be finding out who owns the property and getting their consent.
I've tried really hard to separate the memory from the item. I no longer have the radiogram. I no longer have the 3 swivel chairs that I used to sit in and swing around in. But I have the memory of those things.
Victorian Socialist Senate candidate Jordan Vandenlam joins us now. Jordan, thank you for joining us. How do you feel when you hear those words from Carol?
Yeah, I think I feel very sorry that her belongings were taken. But I also think about the fact that every 4 days a young person experiencing homelessness dies in this country, even though there are hundreds of thousands of empty homes available for them to live in, and they die because they don't have access to housing. And our government sits there doing nothing about it.
So is something like Carol collateral damage? Like, if you had your time again, would you still post Carol's address?
Yeah, I'd have a think about it, I guess. But I guess if we look to the facts about it, it's a house that was empty for 17 years, and Carol had safe housing, and she obviously empathises with the people who don't have access to housing. It's a tough one. It's very much a tough one.
But they're only some of the facts. I mean, the other relevant facts, as we just saw, the reason that house was empty for so long, she was having a ailing mum that she was looking after all that time. I mean, to just say it was empty.
It was. But she visited it every 2 months to make sure that she didn't have to pay vacant residential land tax and that her insurance didn't lapse on it. And then she didn't visit it for like years at the end.
But if she's looking after her ailing mum for a lot of that time, and she's entitled to try to minimise her insurance payments or whatever. If she's,
absolutely.
So to just say it was just an empty house, that's a mischaracterisation of the full picture, isn't it?
I mean, like it was an empty house.
Yeah, but that's partially the truth. There's more to the story. You accept that, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And like this is an incredible outlier. This is like I've been doing this for a long time. This is the first time this has happened. That's for sure.
Yeah, I understand that. Do you, when you post an address, or say you pass one on privately, do you then check up to see what's happened to that house?
Generally, so the addresses that I post are different to the ones that I pass on privately. The addresses that I post are generally the ones that I personally think no one would live in, because I probably wouldn't live there, and they're more to kind of draw attention to the fact that, hey, these places exist, they're near you, they're your neighbours are leaving houses empty while people are living on the street and sleeping rough, and the ones that are distributed privately are not those.
Right, but so you don't then follow up to see what's happened, what's become of these places?
Of the private ones, more generally speaking, yes, but the public ones, less so.
So in a case like this, you had no idea what was going on?
No, absolutely not.
You just post this thing, walk away, and the circumstances are what they are?
Yeah, because they're generally just houses falling down on the side of the road somewhere.
Okay, I mean, this clearly wasn't that.
This is absolutely not the case.
Yeah, and also she'd just done a renovation. So it clearly wasn't, unless it was a really bad renovation, it was perfectly livable.
Are we saying it's livable?
Well, I assume so. I mean, unless she's renovating in a way that makes it unlivable. So I guess because you're saying these are terrible houses that no one want to live in except the most desperate. Well, that doesn't fit these facts, does it?
Well, I would say, yes, the person who submitted it had seen this house in their neighbourhood. They'd been living there 10 years. They saw it empty for 10 years while they lived there. They assumed no one was living there.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the condition of the house.
Yeah, but this is the person's neighbour that submitted it.
Yeah, but do they visit the house? Do they know what the condition of the house
more
is?
than I do.
Right, yeah, OK, but this is the bit I'm a bit confused about because some of what you're doing is predicated on the idea that these are basically abandoned houses and no one would want to live in them anyway.
Yeah, the public ones.
Right,
Yeah.
this isn't that case. You've just said you relied on a neighbour who, we don't know, probably never saw the inside of the house.
Yeah.
So this doesn't actually match your own description of what you say you're doing, isn't that?
You can check it up on the street view. You can do a bunch of things. Obviously, I can't visit every single house, which is unfortunate. I am just one person, and I'm doing this because I see that there are hundreds of thousands of empty homes in this country, and there are far fewer people than that sleeping rough, dying on the street because they don't have access to housing. And I'm just literally here trying to make sure that people have things that they need because I care about them. That's what I'm trying to do. Obviously, there might be better ways to do it, and I would love the government to do that and not me. But I have, I'm not funded to do this stuff. I'm just trying to help people who are desperate and need houses.
So what are the better ways to do it?
Well, that's not a question for me. That's a question for the government. It's not my responsibility to make sure that the government's job is done and that everyone is housed. However, if the government doesn't do that, I want to step in and do what I can to make sure that people have a roof over their heads while there are empty homes.
Well, with respect, it wasn't your job when you were purple pingers, but it is your job when you're a Senate candidate.
Yeah, definitely.
For the Victorian Socialists in an upcoming election.
If I'm not elected.
Yeah, but you're running. I mean,
yeah,
you should,
absolutely. I've got heaps more ideas if in government, absolutely. There's policy solutions that we can put forward and that we have. Okay. And that no one's asked us about.
Well,
we've never had a...
She just did, though. That's my point. That's why I
sorry, I didn't realise you were asking for policy solutions.
Well,
I thought you meant about my list kind of thing. Heaps. We could build, enough public housing. We could start a public builder, build 1 million public housing units in 10 years, and that would drastically reduce the cost of housing in this country. We could implement, mandatory minimum rent standards across the country. We could introduce a national rental inspectorate that controls rents to make sure everything is affordable while we keep building public housing massively so that everyone has a place to live. We could also audit the empty homes, have an actual government agency to audit these empty homes once a year or once every 2 years and make sure that if homes are empty while people don't have homes, that they are distributed equally across society to the people that need them. There's heaps that we could do.
All right, Jordan, thanks for your time.
All right. Well, project on the way. We'll see you soon. To more of today's top stories. Peter Dutton has refused to admit he may have jumped the gun over reports that Russia had sought to secure a military foothold in Indonesia. The opposition leader was quick to criticise all countries involved. Anthony Albanese has accused him of scaremongering. Jakarta later declared the reports were untrue.
What we saw from Peter Dutton yesterday was an extraordinary overreach. He verbaled the president of Indonesia.
The reference I made was obviously to what is a very credible military website, and that talked about government sources.
All right, now Sky News, they're travelling the country at the moment, chatting with politicians on what they call a barbecue road trip, which sounds fascinating, doesn't it? Now, I've got to say, some of the conversations I've been watching them all have been very revealing.
I'm imagining we do this, we're going to get some fat spitting in our faces.
I've had more than fat spat in my face.
Come on, Pauline, what happens at Clive Palmer's freak-off parties stays at Clive Palmer's freak-off parties. That's what we all agreed when we went. The panel, all of us.
No, you will take no further questions at this time?
Please don't explain.
All right, 15 Queenslanders are celebrating tonight after winning $70 million in Oz Lotto. They scooped up all of last night's massive First Division jackpot with a syndicate ticket. Their shares were bought at outlets across the Sunshine State, and some of the winners whose tickets weren't registered are yet to come forward. They will each take home more than $4.7 million.
Redraw.
Yeah, oh, indeed. And British tennis player Harriet Dart has apologised for a bizarre request she made during a match in France. Dart was trailing wildcard Lois Boisson when she approached the chair umpire and complained about her opponent's body odour.
Can you tell her to wear deodorant? Because it smells to wear deodorant. She's smelling really bad.
Dart says it was a heat of the moment remark she now regrets. Boisson had the last laugh anyway, winning the match 6-love, 6-3.
I love it. What a move.
Well, there's only one elite athlete on this panel, so Liz, have you ever complained about somebody's body odour? Or has somebody complained about yours? I mean, just keep it open. Just keep it open.
Well, they probably complained about mine because I was a massive sweater. So I felt sorry for the girl who got complained about because you can't help how much you sweat and how bad you stink. You might use deodorant, but sometimes you get smelly on the court.
But is it all fair in the game of like war on the court, like on
I
the
think
sports
that's, I think
field?
that's like the definition of playing the woman and not the ball, isn't it? Like,
Yeah. That's fair. The sledging is like, it's one of the great traditions in sport, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
No, see, I didn't really sledge much because in netball, it's when the ball's down, like where you are, it's all too busy. And then if you're playing goalkeeper and the ball goes up the other end, it's really awkward because you're like...
Yeah, that's okay. That's perfect sledging time. I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
You might have missed your chance, Liz.
Oh, nah. I'm quite happy to have left it and take my gold medals and come home.
Yeah, that's fair point.
Did you ever ask anyone to pull your finger on a court?
No, but that is a required skill in my household. Our next guest, speaking of unhinged, brought an unhinged Facebook marketplace interaction to the Melbourne Comedy Fest stage, and it has gone viral. With 49 million views in 4 days, comedian Lou Wall has gone global.
Is the bed frame still available? Yes, it is. Gay emoji. Can I please negotiate the price? No. What? It's free. You're on a hard bargain, Lucia, but that's just not the way marketplace working. I'm like, okay, how about half price just for you, Eileen? How much now? Still free. Dance, dance, dance. You are the best. Party, party. Here's my address. Wow, that's a long, long way from my place now. How about a small discount? I said, Eileen, I can't be clear. It's free to pick up. Could you drive it to me, please? What the f? No, please, no, please, no, please, no, please. I don't own a car. Why didn't you say so? I can drive. See you tomorrow at 5.
Please welcome Lou Wall. Now, this will not be news to the nearly 50 million people who have watched this, but that is just the tip of this iceberg. It escalates in an extraordinary way. What kind of reaction have you had to this going as huge as it's had?
It's actually been crazy. The thing that's been craziest is that I've been offered a lot of free beds. And I'm like, but the whole point of the thing is that the bed is still available. Like, I've got many beds now.
Yeah. So you haven't accepted the extra beds and maybe start a bed store?
I should. Oh.
Okay, there we go.
That's a big brain stuff.
But given how much trouble we're having shifting one, I don't know if you want to take on...
Yeah,
well, you could use a different platform because I think Facebook Marketplace it's a bin fire. And I think that's why this bit has connected with so many people because everyone has similar experiences. Why are we all still on there?
Well, we're on there because, you know, it's funny. I think that's the only reason. Like, you meet the craziest people on, like, the fringes of society. They all exist on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my goodness. Some of the comments of, like, people being like, oh, my God, I sold this. And it's, like, crazy. I actually did read this beautiful one, though, which kind of, like, surprised me. This guy was like, I always put it up for a really low price. And then someone who can only afford that comes and then he gives it to them for free. And I was like, that's so lovely.
That's nice.
Like, taking out the middleman. But other than that, it's a hellscape.
And it's 49 million views over 4 days. It's incredible. People must be bombarding you with their own horror stories. What's the worst or best that you've heard?
The best... There's some truly horrific ones, just like stuff being stolen left, right and centre. But one I found that really tickled me was this woman who was trying to sell a treadmill and the buyer was like, it's been my dream to own a treadmill. My whole life, all I've wanted is a treadmill. Get this like beautiful monologue, like loads of emojis. And then when the person got there, she was like, that's not the treadmill for me. And turned it down straight out. I was like, that's pretty.
Well, I guess if you build it up your whole life.
Yeah, it's your dream. You're not going to settle for second best treadmill. That's crazy.
Like a red carpet, but on a treadmill.
Yeah. Well, what I've learnt from this and from your show is that I can spend a whole lot less time worrying about how I craft my messages on Facebook Marketplace. I can just punch out whatever is front of mind, and that will do.
Absolutely.
But congratulations are also in order for you, Lou. You've been nominated, your show today, for the best show at the Melbourne Comedy Festival. When you came on here tonight, the comedians on the panel were like, your show is fantastic, so well done. Is it going to inspire you to start to dig into some other corners of the internet that might be overlooked?
I have dug into many corners of the internet and I always have a shovel and I will keep digging until the day I die because internet comedy is just, it's a wealth. There are so many crazy people on the internet. And I will never stop finding them.
Your show, it's called Breaking the Fifth Wall. Now, I know about Breaking the Fourth Wall. We do it all the time on the show. What's the fifth wall?
The fifth wall, I mean, it's a kind of concept that I kind of just like made up because my name is Wall. Like, I think it's probably, like, I just assume, right, in stand-up comedy, there's like a fifth wall because we break the, we talk to hecklers, like, or I bully hecklers, but you know. And so I think the fifth wall is actually just like what comedians exaggerate and like little tricks we do. And so in my show, I'm just like breaking that down and showing everyone.
By the way,
inside the depths.
I'm sure this is not the point of the bit, but I left it really wanting to meet Eileen. Can we? I mean, you must have a contact number.
Yeah.
Can we catch up with Eileen somehow?
I can hook you up. Maybe I should put like a contact number and a QR code at the end of my show.
Yes! There's still time in the festival. Well, Lou's show, Breaking the Fifth Wall, has a few more nights at the Melbourne Comedy Festival. Then it heads to Perth, to Brisbane. Ticket details are on our website. I imagine they are going to go very fast in those cities if they haven't already. Would you please thank Lou Wall? Oasis fans, stop crying your heart out. We've got the opportunity of a lifetime.
This week on The Project, are you the ultimate Oasis fan? Before they land in Australia for their stadium tour, we're giving you and a friend the chance to see the Gallagher Brothers in London or Manchester. All you have to do is watch The Project, grab the code word and enter at 10play.com.au/win.
You haven't been on while we've been doing this.
Did you know about this, Pete? It's amazing.
I watch the show every night, so I absolutely know. I'm waiting for the bloody code word.
Okay. Oh, you are? You got your pen. You're ready to go.
Tonight's code word?
Is it blur?
Well, let's find out. Here it is. Wonderwall. Not sure I see the connection, but anyway,
it's my favourite Beatles song.
Excellent.
How it fits
happy with that?
Very happy. Written it down.
Pretty sure you're not allowed to enter, but anyway, whatever. Our next guest brought glitz and goth to the charts, as well as one of the 80s biggest hits.
Sometimes I feel I've got to run away, I've got to.
In 1981, those two guys from Leeds set the world on fire with that song.
Tainted love, tainted love.
The duo were making synth-laden electronic music before electronic music was a thing, paving the way for the revolution that followed.
Say hello, wave goodbye.
After several lengthy stints apart, the band reunited in 2018. Now, decades on from their very first smash hit, Soft Cell have embarked on their first ever Aussie tour.
Would you please welcome Soft Cell frontman Marc Almond.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you on the show. Now,
At last.
I cannot believe this. Your first time touring Australia, is that right?
It's my first time in Australia in 46 years. I think I'm coming up to my 50th year in showbiz in the next couple of years.
Wow.
And so it's the First time I've ever come here, so it's very exciting for me.
Why? What did we do?
Well, I don't nothing. I've been asked so many things have fallen through. I could write a book about it.
Yeah.
Things have happened, they've not happened, they've kind of not coincided. And then I've had just no offers, really.
Yeah.
Nobody asked me. Called the wilderness years. Nobody asked me to come. And then last year, I finally got an offer because Soft Cell were doing some shows. You know, would you like to come as Soft Cell? I said, well, I've had a long solo career as well, and I can't just do Soft Cell songs because I'd like to do some of my own hits as well. Yeah. And so I decided to support myself.
Oh.
Yes.
So so with Soft Cell, so we've got two shows in one. The first half is my solo show with hits and popular songs and things. I brought my full band over. And the second show is Soft Cell.
I love I've got a lot of questions about.
Yeah,
I love the idea of supporting yourself.
Yes.
I think it's a great because often when you go and watch a show, the headliner will bring on the support act to do a song at the end. So are you ever like, I'm going to bring myself back? Does it become like a Tyler Durden Fight Club situation where like no one knows who is who?
I could duet with myself on a screen maybe or something, or do something like that. But yeah, I was just because I thought fans have probably waited a long time. So I'd really like to do as much as possible and cover as much, give a snapshot of like the past 46 years, really.
Sometimes support bands get heckled because they want I guess that's not happening to you.
It's
People
not
are yelling out,
happening to me,
bring in
no.
Soft Cell!
I've got to say, the audiences are just fantastic.
Right.
I've been amazing. I mean, since I've been here, I've got to say, I'm absolutely loving Australia.
Well, you should have come before, shouldn't you?
Well, I should have done. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But now I know the way. I'll come again. But it's been fantastic. And the last night, our last show is tomorrow in Melbourne Palais. And that is the final show of the tour. Who knows when I might get a chance to come back again? So, my last chance to see me. I hope not. I hope I'll come back sometime.
You got 50 more years, I guess, before.
Yes, absolutely. But it's been great.
So let's talk Tainted Love because it's such a huge hit. Now, I was floored. I think we were all floored today to learn that it's actually a cover. And that there's an original. I had no idea.
Should we know that?
No,
it didn't make it to Australia.
Let's just give a snippet because I think a lot of people might be in this.
Sometimes I feel I've got to run away. I've got to get away from the pain you drive into the
Not bad, but give me Soft Cell any time.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think that's kind of great because we gave it our own very original sound.
It's a totally different sound.
And because of our version, people then went back and discovered the originals. But there were two originals, actually. One was by Gloria Jones.
Which was that one?
The other was by Ruth Swan. And our version probably nods more to the Ruth Swan version than the Gloria Jones version. But I think, we gave it a unique... I mean, it's had a life of its own, that song. It was in the American Guinness Book of Records as the longest ever single in the American Billboard Top 100 for a while. It's still played everywhere. Everywhere I go, I still hear it. It's on films, TV shows. Our version, and, people still have this great affection for it.
And amazingly, you were living in student university digs when it hit #1. That's extraordinary.
I was. I got the call on the payphone. There's a call for you, and I got a call. I ran down the stairs and said, "Yeah, you're. I think we were number 9 at the time. We were going up the charts, and they said we want you to come down to London and be on Top of the Pops." And it was like the most weirdest thing because one day you're sitting on the sofa watching Top of the Pops, and the next minute you're in the telly looking out at people on the sofa being on Top of the Pops. And when you do that, the amount of people that watched it in those days, it was so watched, and then your life completely changes and is never the same again.
It's like when Sam joined the project. Exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Your life was never the same.
Well, tickets to see Soft Cell in Melbourne tomorrow are on sale now. It's your last chance, so get in. All of the info's on our website. In the meantime, please thank Marc Almond.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks to Liz and Pete Hellier. Stick around for the Doghouse. We'll see you at 6:30 tomorrow night. Goodbye.